There's been so much change in the shipping line industry. You have to exert discipline in sticking to your long-term plans. 40% of America's waterborne imports come in through our gateway. And that's why it's important for us to really exert leadership and understand that what happens here affects the entire supply chain in the U.S. and across the globe.
Noel, it's great to see you again here at the new offices of the Port of Long Beach. It's the 9th busiest port in the world. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, first of all, it's great to see you again, Pete, and to welcome you here to the Port of Long Beach. Glad that the weather is cooperating and living up to its reputation here in Southern California. My work experience prior to joining the port is not what you would consider traditional. I was not in the Port Authority space at all. I was not even in the shipping industry. I have experience having worked for public companies, private companies, small to large publicly traded companies. But what attracted me to the port was the opportunity to participate in a space that was foreign to me, where I felt both public and private came together in a nice intersection. So I joined the port in 2010. And my first role with the port was as the executive officer to the Board of Harbor Commissioners. Through different leadership transitions, I was given the opportunity to move up, increase my responsibility to the position I have now as Deputy Executive Director. And it's a fantastic opportunity. I learn something new each day. I get to contribute not just to the well-being of the organization, but really get to be involved in shaping and reshaping the future of our industry.
Noel, we recently met at the CSCMP EDGE conference in Anaheim, and you shared a little bit about your concerns with the China-U.S. trade dispute. Maybe you could share a little bit about that now.
It's a talk of the day. We are disproportionately impacted because about 60% of our business is with China. And in 2018, the tariffs actually had the opposite effect. It actually drove our volumes up. We ended up calendar year 2018 with our best year on record. We handled 8.1 million TEU as shippers advanced their orders trying to get ahead of the tariffs. 2019 has been a very different story. We've now begun to see the opposite effect. Imports from China are down 20%. Exports to China through our gateway are down 40%. The interesting thing is that trade with other regions around the world is up. In some cases double and by triple digits. In fact, the fastest growing region outside of China is Southeast Asia. But even when we see those increases that look amazing on paper, the gap between some of these economies that are flourishing and the scale of China just don't compare. Just to give you an example, Pete, it would take the growth of 5 Vietnams just to match the declines in China. So while we're very encouraged about the opportunities down the line in places like Southeast Asia and even Latin America, our relationship with China is leading to this disproportionate impact. Having said that, the silver lining in all of this is that we're only about 6 percentage points off of where we were last year. And again, last year was a record year for us, and we're still on track to end calendar year 2019 with our second best year on record.
Well, congratulations for your continued success.
Thank you.
Yeah, you guys are certainly at the tip of the spear for the trucking and the rail and all the rest of the commodities that fan out from this location throughout the Western USA.
We really are, and we take it very seriously. And we also know that what happens here in Southern California has a tendency to migrate to other gateways and other ports across the nation. So we take it very seriously. And we want to make sure that whatever we do here works out for the supply chain and actually raises the bar and moves us farther into the future.
Noel, what lessons have you learned in handling these crises?
It's a matter of leadership. The supply chain is a system of interdependent, interconnected segments, but there isn't an overarching party, if you will, that guides the entire system. As a port authority, I think we're in an ideal spot to see the bigger picture, to see the system end to end. and to try to address challenges before they arise, and even after they arise, to be the honest broker and work with the different supply chain stakeholders. And that's what we learned when, during the bankruptcy of Hanjin. That's what we learned when Long Beach Container Terminal had to be sold. That as these things come up, you need somebody that sees the bigger picture, can understand the landscape, see those areas of common ground, and try to align the different interests for the betterment of the supply chain. I also learned personally that having the ability to see past the challenges and looking for opportunities in the challenges and in the crises makes a world of difference as you sit across the table from some of these executives where you now have to negotiate terms or you have to negotiate solutions to some of these challenges.
And we touch in our supply chain logistics and transportation practices, Stanton Chase, we are touching many of the elements of the port and beyond because there are leadership challenges at every company that embrace what you're doing.
And I think, Pete, that's a great point. I think that's endemic of how the role of a port authority is changing. In the old days, the business model was you build and they will come. Well, these days, because of consolidation, the realignment in the industry, because of the excess capacity scattered across different ports, you have to build, but you also have to tell them why they need to come through your port. And that's where the leadership component comes in. And that is, what's our value proposition? What do we have to offer the customers beyond our investments in infrastructure, beyond our facilities and what size ships we can handle? It's offering that broader value proposition.
Related to that value proposition, can you tell us a little bit about your reputation as the green port?
We're very proud to be the world's first green port. We've been a green port for the last 15 years or so. Very proud of that. And probably what's more flattering is when you go around the country now and across the globe, there are other ports now that have adopted our model, and they too consider themselves a green port. I can tell you that the story here in Long Beach has been really a tremendous story of success. When the port made that conscious decision to become a green port, to green its operations, there were a lot of skeptics who questioned whether we as a port could truly become a green port and balance the needs of the industry and continue to be successful on the commercial side. 15 years later, I think our experience and our story speaks for itself. At the same time that we've seen cargo volumes increase 21%, we've seen every category of emissions drop by as much as 90%. It's been a tremendous story that demonstrates that you can grow green, you can be sustainable, and at the same time grow your business.
And I think there's other innovations going on right now with ships burning cleaner fuels. Is that correct?
Absolutely. As technology evolves and alternatives to diesel emerge, our industry partners are looking at multiple ways in which they can run their operations in a cleaner way. We certainly encourage that. We think that by thinking outside the docks and thinking outside the box, we'll get to solutions that balance the needs of the customers with the need to be sustainable and green. And so we're very proud of our partners. They've really stepped up over the years, and we would not be the success that we are as a green port without their participation and involvement.
Noel, you've tackled many challenges with great success here. What legacy do you want to leave?
It's a great question, Pete. When I look back at the 108-year history of our port, and I think about where we are today because of those strategic, bold decisions that those who came before me made, it makes me realize just how significant and important it is for us who have the responsibility to lead our port today to think about the future, 40, 50, 60 years ago. The simple answer is I would like for us to leave this port better than when we found it. I would like for our port to have a legacy of being a trailblazer, to be innovative, to be a leader, to never settle for past successes, but always push the envelope to make things better. And then for me personally, I think it's important for us as an organization, any organization, to put people over outcomes, and really invest in our people, invest in the human capital that really makes an organization run. Lead by example, to teach people to become leaders themselves and to train the next generation of leaders. And if we can accomplish that, Pete, then I think we could all say we did a lot of good.
Well, at Stanton Chase, that's one of our major focuses, is bringing leadership capital into the right organizations at the right time and really creating change.
Terrific.
Noel, thank you for joining us today and participating in the Game Changer video series. We look forward to working with you in the future.
It was my pleasure, Pete. Thank you for making it easy and visiting our offices.
Good to be with you.
Likewise. All right.